Welcome to Hashknife Hangouts. I'm Calen Carpenter. With me is my partner, co-host, and father, Brandon. Before we get started, for those on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Facebook, like, comment, and share. Find us on Instagram at hashknife.ranch.mt. You can bet your bottom britches. That's all lowercase. I can promise that. On all platforms, spread the word to your friends. And to the opening notes. This one I have prepared. All right, here we go. Electric vehicles in agriculture. What? Yeah. So I saw an article in the Ag
I had a
Web
drink
Daily.
to listen to this.
Yeah, well, I'm drinking already. It's okay. It's a Sunday. I saw an article in the Ag Web Daily titled, in quotes, Ford wires its first electric trucks for business customers, end quote. It was titled, or it was published, I think, the end of April, early May. We're in early June right now. Somewhere in there, about 3-4 weeks ago. Okay. The vehicles are catered towards blue-collared folk, so to speak, because Tesla has catered more towards the affluent, according to the article. So Ford is trying to focus more toward everyday man and woman. Now, with this, to be clear, this is only Ford's F-150, so it's the smaller version. So I have a Toyota Tacoma. It's a very small kind of
like
pickup.
a quarter ton.
Yeah, it's like a slightly smaller or slightly bigger size than a Chevy S10, but similar.
Yeah.
But honestly, I see it as a step toward bigger and better vehicles. So I wanted to look forward to vehicles common with farming, ranching, and trucking use, honestly. I looked through the article, and it essentially stated that Ford was taking a different approach to its customer base than Tesla. Frankly, this is more of a business strategy approach than anything. That's kind of how I see it. However, it did make me think about electric pickups and ranching and farming. So here's some of my thoughts. And no, this is not the first time I have thought about this subject, shockingly enough. The pro, when it comes to ranching, it is quiet around the animals. That's about it. All right.
They get
The
used
rest.
to it.
Yeah. The
They
rest.
hear the engine start and they run towards it because they think you're going to feed them.
Yeah. But some people don't take care of vehicles around animals like we do. So anyway, that's kind of where the pros end. So the other things were, what's the electric bill versus the fuel bill? I mean, I think that's a very valid question. Power wise. So I question the power ability. Now, Tesla has proved that it can outperform head to head with an electric pickup versus a combustible, suck, squeeze, bang, blow type engine head to head over a small time period when they did like a tug of war. But like, what about 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 15? How are those going to perform? Are they? Here's my biggest concern. Batteries. I believe it or not, enjoy video games. Do you know how long my little controller works with batteries? If I'm playing really hard, about 2 months at max. So that's where I'm starting to get with the battery usage is, current combustible engines, they last a couple years. What's the battery for an electric engine? That would be interesting. Moving forward, the lack of charging stations across rural America for electric vehicles, that's a concern. The first time I ever saw one of those in Montana, I was actually at the Wolf and Grizzly Discovery Center in West Yellowstone. That was a shocker. I didn't believe that they had those, but they did. The other question is, how fast do batteries last hauling / going up hills and up mountains? Because we have very steep terrain in Montana. How long will that last?
Yep.
Yeah. When we have 8 horses in a trailer or cattle in a trailer and we're going up that hill, how long is that battery going to last? What's the distance range with and without hauling capabilities? So we talked about that. So, I'm going to go from Billings to Bozeman. That's about 150 miles, if I remember right. 160.
140.
Okay, 140. It's been a while since I've been there.
Edge of city to edge of city.
Okay. But the other thing too is between those two places, there's a lot of up and down going on. So what's the battery usage when I'm going without a trailer full of animals and when I am going with a trailer full of animals. There's a very big difference, especially going up that Bozeman
Significant.
Pass. What's the I already hit that. What about long stays? So parking at trailheads for a week at a time. So, when we have the time, we will go up in the mountains and we'll go up in for about a week at a time, 5-7 days, and we'll pack. If that engine is just sitting there for a week with no usage, will the battery remain or will we have to recharge it? That's something I was kind of thinking of. What people, specifically designers, is the difference between urban and rural America? Um, I don't remember quite where I was thinking about this, but just something to keep in mind is there is a very big difference between urban and rural America. Charging stations, distances, usage, just overall speeds, stuff like that. Other thing is initial buying costs versus the value over time. So when we look to buy something that will last for a long time, we do that with vehicles as well. So we'll even though this is an expensive vehicle, electric vehicle, will it really last? Will it be worth the bang to our buck? That's the real question versus combustible. I might pay $100,000 for this electric vehicle, but if I can pay 50,000, 60,000, 80,000 for this combustible and it'll last me twice as long, why would I pay the $100,000, right? Again, I'm looking at, double A supply issues like I did with my little controller. That's kind of where my head was at. So with that, I will turn it over to Dad.
Okay. Oh God. All right. When you talk about fossil fuel burning versus electric, what's the difference?
There's none because you still use fossil fuels to get electricity currently.
Namely
For
coal.
primarily is what I should say, because you do have solar, you do have wind, they
Well,
do
but
have
you've also
nuclear.
got you create electricity off of refineries. The heavy leftover coke that is made, that is produced off of a delayed or uh, well, your different coker units, fluid cokers, delayed cokers, all create coke, and it
Okay.
is basically what you've taken and squeezed out all of your gas oils and distillates, your kerosenes, your asphalts. You have got powder left over. That powder is called coke, and they put that into another process that creates electricity, same as you would burning coal. It's a very hot burn, think of it as a very hot burning coal.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still burning a fossil fuel to produce electricity. Yeah, there's some
It's
hydro.
just the remnants of it, right? Like the recycled
Right.
abilities of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you've squeezed out all of the liquid out of crude oil to the point where there's nothing left but powder.
So,
They're
and
pretty damned efficient.
disclaimer, why does Dad know this? Why does Brandon know this? Dad worked for a refinery in Billings, Montana. He was on the board where they do a lot of the button pushing and the computeristic stuff and the coordination for where things go, what they do, and how to do it.
Among
So
other things. That was my last job. One of my
yeah,
last jobs that I
but
had there.
but frankly, like he knows the overall process of refining crude oil, which is the raw oil that comes from the earth.
Right.
That's why he understands this stuff and why he can explain it. So if you want to ask questions about refining oil, go ahead and ask him. But that's why he knows these specific things. So please continue.
So anyway, my point is that gasoline powered vehicles are powered under fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Electric vehicles are powered under about 80 to 85% fossil fuels to make that electricity.
Yeah.
So this is nothing more than it's politics. It is agendas. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on there, and I am all for finding alternative energies. God, yes, I love to be able to. Well, we've talked about it before. I've got a great idea.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know
lightning
how in
is
the hell to
great.
do it. If
Yeah.
you can harness electricity out of the sky and store lightning, you're going to power the earth, and you're not going to burn another fossil fuel type, um, a piece of equipment again. You won't have to.
So for those
Now,
who are against crude oil and stuff like that and saying you're wrong though, what's the 15 to 20%? Because you said 80 to 85% is
fossil
the
fuel.
fossil fuels. What's the
Yeah,
other
the
50?
rest is you're looking at solar, wind, and hydro
Okay, so it is the extra little the other stuff that is natural that's
lumped together. Yeah,
renewable. Okay. All right, gotcha.
which is very hydro is pretty dang consistent, steady.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of fluctuations because they can control water outflow,
Yeah.
right, through
Hmm.
dams. But your wind
And
is
solar.
the worst.
Yeah.
Solar is better than wind, but it's still they're
But
very
well, it's weather dependent,
unreliable,
right?
very
Like,
weather dependent.
yeah,
Whether is the wind going to blow or not? How
right.
hard is it going to blow? Are you going to get gusts? I mean, it destabilizes the electrical grid.
I mean, unless you're in Great Falls, Montana, where the wind blows 24/7. But yeah, what? Please continue.
Yeah, off the Rocky Mountain front, it's true, but even then they have fluctuations in wind speeds. So
Yeah.
solar is
It's not like
slower,
it's not like water where you're saying it's consistent. You can regulate it, either add
right?
to or letting
Yeah,
the water gate go. Yeah, I
right.
get it. You can
and
keep it consistent.
and I think you can safely say nuclear
I
is
would.
in that as well, but that is a very small because everybody's scared to death of
Yeah,
3 Mile
scared.
Island events again,
Yeah.
and Chernobyl and oh god, what was it in Japan?
Yeah, it was the one in Japan. Those are all
Yeah,
freak accidents though. But I mean, you compare it to a lot of stuff. I think
yeah,
I'd advocate for nuclear, but there's a lot of stuff that people they see. It's like guns. I think that they see the bad things and they try to focus on that. But
right. Well,
anyway,
yes.
getting
So
past the
so
politics part though, you're saying what's your think about, or what do you think? Jeez, what's your thoughts about electric vehicles though? Like again, getting past kind of the politics, like knowing what you know currently about electric vehicles and electric powered vehicles. What are your kind of your
well,
thoughts with
the,
using them in
it's
ag?
it's a farce that it's clean energy that you're only using. I'm such a better person. I'm virtue signaling because I'm such a good person because I only use electric vehicles. That's bullshit. They're burning coal. I call them coal-fired vehicles
I
because they're
mean, they're
still burning coal to produce that electricity.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
just not seeing it up front. You're seeing it not at all, right? So the other part, there's a couple issues there too, and I've looked at some things on, and Tesla is right at the leading edge of that. I think they're on the cutting edge of the technology, and they're hammering at it and doing it. Highest power to weight ratio in cars. I don't think they're making pickups, but maybe they are. Maybe
No, they are.
they're
So the pickups, I'll share with you. The pickups look kind of like alien boxes. There's not really a bed to it, but there is. If you remember the Chevy
yeah.
Avalanche
Okay.
and how it's got that weird back end,
Oh yeah.
it's a lot like the Chevy
Right.
Avalanche, but it's just more sloped, but there's not a lot that you can put in
Yeah.
it or any at all. It's more like the back end of a
Well,
car where it's just kind of covered with a trunk.
and that's kind of where I was headed with this too, with usability in agriculture. You may be able to drive that around the streets of LA. Okay, good. I've been in the that Los Angeles Valley, and like, holy crap, this really is smoggy. So if you reduce that through electric vehicles, you don't have a lot of demand. It's fairly flat in there. I mean, compared to what we're used to,
Yeah.
as far as terrain, and you got a lot of people, a lot of concentration of people. You know what? You're still burning fossil fuels, but you're just doing it in a little different way. What the hell? If it cleans up the air here, that's a win, right? And people can go from point A to point B. Quiet, why not? I've got no issue with that at all. The, the issue I have is mandating that for people. And when you take a Ford F-150 that you just talked about, have you ever seen us in a Ford F-150 at the
No,
ranch?
and that was the point, is to be able to haul animals and to do what we do. An F-250 is still
Minimal.
underpowered. we have to have
minimum.
at least an F350 to get the power to haul stuff. Now, can we or tow stuff is really what I should say. We can haul stuff. We can put things in the back all day of the bed and do what we need to do.
Right.
But it's hauling the towing the animals that we really need. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this today. The trailer, we've done the pickup, the '01 pickup with 8 horses in the back. Were they skinny? Yeah, they were skinny because they got into the trailer, and it was literally.
Well, but they were also put in there head to tail.
Yeah, there was a certain way they're put in. We squeezed them in, but the thing was 8 horses in that trailer, and we hauled them to a place where there's pretty high elevation, and we would not have gotten there with anything else. And so, take that and say, okay, I can't move horses, but now I'm moving cows, and I'm traveling halfway across the state to the nearest market. And those cows, you can't really squeeze them in because they're really hard to kind of control. So
yeah, you can pack them, but you can't really layer them.
No. And so doing that, like, you lose that ability for one, efficiency, and two, being able to kind of guesstimate because they're loose in there, they shift. Shifting has a lot to do with the power ability of those vehicles. And so when they start shifting and stuff like that, that messes things up. So that's why I say it's like an F350, like you got to have the F350 or something high, of that equivalent across the brands,
But that shifting is more your controllability and less more than it is really your power. Not that it doesn't, because if you're going down a hill and they're moving and you feel it doing this, you will feel that moving back and forth. So, I mean, it is, but it's mainly controllability in my estimation. Now, an F-150, to me, a half-ton pickup, I don't care if it's a 1500 in a Chevy or a Ram 50. I think it's 1500 in the Dodge series stuff, F-150 in a Ford. These are half-ton pickups, classified or rated as half-ton pickup. That's nothing more than a freaking car that you can haul some stuff in the back with.
Yeah.
That is not a pickup that is really usable for heavy duty use on a ranch or farm. No. You could haul some fuel in it. You can do some things, but when you're coming to towing or doing some really heavy work, no, they don't have the suspension for it. And there's not a lot of guys that I know that have F-150s for real work. They might have an F-150 to go to town in. Again, it's a car. So, it really doesn't have utility, as you've pointed out, with the power that you really have to have. And I don't think that anymore. I would, if we get another pickup, we've had this one for 20 years. Your point well taken. You buy something that you try to have for a long time, because you're going to get the most return on investment for it, and the most usability. If I buy another one, I'll buy another diesel. This is the first diesel I had, and the difference in usability was night and day. Plus, the fuel efficiency is there with it.
Yeah.
You've got the power in that diesel, and the octane or cetane in a diesel, that you've got the power where you don't have in a gas engine. Yeah. So there's a lot of advantages to it. Now, one of the issues I see, or nobody talks about, and I've read about this and I've seen a couple of things on it. Tesla's batteries are supposedly superior. What does it cost? How long does a Tesla battery last in a vehicle? Let's ask that first.
Well, that's the question. I don't know. And that's why I brought that up, like at a trailhead. Even just sitting there, the battery is overall.
But I mean the end of life on a Tesla battery and in a Tesla car.
I don't know. I'd love to know, because I can't seem to keep a really good battery going on a phone for 2 years. So I'd love to know what a freaking vehicle is going to last.
Well, my understanding is 4 to 5 years, they're toast, they're done. What does it cost to replace that battery?
Probably worth more than the car, because it's newer technology.
$30,000 to $35,000 just for the battery.
So you just put, let's assume the vehicle is $100,000, which I guarantee it's not. It's more than that. that's at least 30 to 40% of the vehicle itself.
30 grand to dump into a engine on a diesel pickup?
No.
That no, you probably get two engines for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I guarantee you, this is the same engine we've had in this pickup for 20 years, and I got over 200,000 miles on it.
I'll say the
So
only thing that's switched out is the transmission.
yeah, yeah.
Moose
Franny went.
moose hunting story behind that one. But hey, yeah.
We'll have to do that for another one with Braden. That'll have to be one of our getting away from ag for recreation and yeah. But anyway, uh, what do you do with a battery from a Tesla vehicle or any other
Oh, you're talking about
car?
disposal.
Yeah. What about disposal?
I don't know. There's got to be something special because whatever's inside that battery, there's stuff in there. You can't just throw it in the dirt. It's got to be properly disposed of hazmat wise.
Yeah. Where does that proper disposal go to? Where do you put batteries now? It's a hazard. It's a hazardous material. You cannot
go to the
recycle
dump.
them.
I was gonna say it's got to go to the dump, but the dump has to do something special with it, right?
I think they end up in places like Idaho, where there's nuclear waste. Same kind of places. I don't know that for sure. That's what I've been told. Something similar to that, where you can't, because you can't recycle them. They're not recyclable, so they get buried. What about wind turbine blades? They're not recyclable. They bury them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Yeah, they're not recyclable.
Are they not metal?
They're like a carbon fiber type.
You can't
plastics.
melt. You can't melt carbon fiber down. And
cannot recycle. Look, cannot recycle.
That's crazy. I would have thought that even with carbon fiber, you could melt it down and kind of
How
like
green
plastic.
is that?
It's not at all. Well, I mean, it's the same with. I know it's the same with like solar power panels. That's, people. Here's the conservative side. Conservative side says solar power is bad because while it creates power, the repercussions of it ends up creating more usage of petroleum products because the petroleum products used to create said panels get recycled every 5 years, and then you can't recycle those items. Like what I said is what I should say is you replace those panels every 5 years. You can't recycle said panels. They just get destroyed. And I'm like, wow, that's
well, and
I don't know the facts precisely, but that's what I've seen. So
well, and I will say that about the solar industry. Their panels, their arrays, their usability, their
it's improving.
It's improved a lot, but it's not.
No, yeah,
it's not 100%. So you've got disposal issues as far as how many charges one can take. I don't know. Generally, the more that you charge and discharge a battery, the shorter the life. It's only got a finite number of those, and you know how we are. How does it work in the wintertime? I can't 25 below, 30 below. There was a couple of days there where we hit 40 below this last winter.
The question is, will it even try to turn over, or will it just be like, no, I'm not doing anything today, man. You're on your own.
There's a really good reason why they're made and mostly done in California.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, you're kind of going down the same line. I think I know where you're going, so I'm going to do it for you. Moving from, let's say, Billings, I would say between Billings and Bozeman, two relatively, actually, I take that back. Let's go Butte and Bozeman, two very heavily Democratic / progressive cities in Montana. The distance between them is about, I want to say 200 miles or less.
From Butte to Bozeman?
Yeah.
About 90 miles. But it's up over the pass.
This is what happens, folks, when you have not been home in a long time, because you forget mileage, because I would have known this 5 years ago. Anyway, 90 miles.
Yeah.
Now, between those 90 miles, there is a lot of elevation change. A lot of elevation change.
Called the Continental Divide.
Yeah, for sure. And it's different between the Bozeman Pass to Billings, which is, again, you said 140. So, I mean, you add another 50 miles to it. There's more change between those 90 miles than there is going
Oh,
east the 140.
yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking not even let's take animals and hauling out of it. I'm just talking going up and down those mountains, the stress on that battery. Now, between those two cities being progressive, and here's where I'm headed, you would think that they would probably have charging stations for electric vehicles. I don't know if either of them do. Maybe the university at Montana or at Bozeman for Montana State University, MSU, they might have some, but I don't know if Butte would. And they're a
Yeah.
very heavy, they always have been. Butte America, if you want to look that up. Heavy union miners, I mean, blue through and through to their core. I
They
don't know if
have
they've
a
got charging stations.
they have we were at a wedding over there
2 years
2 years
ago, probably.
ago. Yeah.
Amy, right?
Yeah, Amy.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years ago.
Yeah. And Amy and Luke got married over there because he's a Butte, Irish Butte.
Yeah.
First wedding I ever sat in, as a side note, where you're drinking before and you're sitting in the seats during the wedding and everybody's still drinking their beer. I mean, it was
He's got flaming red hair, by the way, and he's a
oh
true
yeah,
Irishman.
really a kind of a really just a bear of a guy.
Yeah.
And I've got to visit with him, not enough,
I have
but
not met
you
him
know how
yet, and I would love to.
you get you get this feel from people. Just a really good feel from him. I like him. Uh, so we're on their way to the reception, and Butte, Montana, turn onto Elizabeth Warren Avenue.
Really?
Yes,
They're that
that's how
updated, huh?
that's how Democrat Butte is.
I didn't know they're that
How
updated. Okay.
progressive Butte is. How communistic Butte is. So anyway, yeah, or maybe it's Elizabeth Warren Boulevard, but it's Elizabeth Warren for sure.
Impressive.
Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know how many charging stations there are. There's the only place I've ever seen a charging station for an electric vehicle is exactly where you mentioned
Yeah. The
in
Grizzly and
your
Wolf
opening voice
Discovery the center
in West
in West
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Yeah.
And that was just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And there were what, a half a dozen of those charging stations?
I think that's about right. There's about half dozen and 2 plugins per. So you could at
And
max get 12 vehicles.
so let me ask you this.
There were
How
none
many
being
cars?
charged. If that's what you guys zero.
Exactly.
Absolutely zero.
Zero. Zero. Yeah. So, I mean, this whole damn thing is just a farce.
If I remember right, you and I kind of looked at each other side eye and we're like, how many months out of the year do you think this thing gets used? And I think
Yeah,
the
not
answer
many.
was, if at best, one. Like, because we kind of laughed at it. I mean, if anybody knows West Yellowstone's a lot like, believe it or not, temperature wise, it's a lot like the northeastern side of Montana, which is Wolf Point, Glasgow, stuff
it's
like
cold.
that. It gets freaking cold, man.
And a lot of snow.
Yes, on top the northeastern side, they don't necessarily get a lot of snow. They just get really cold. But yeah. West Yellowstone gets cold and snow.
It's the west entrance to Yellowstone Park.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I was like,
well, in the wintertime, you can travel, but they also allow snowmobile travel on the main streets, and they're just like any other vehicle because that's what they do.
right. Which makes me
Snow
think,
coaches.
I wonder if snowmobiles will be electric. Snowmobiles, that might make sense. You know, people trade those out so quickly. I could see that.
I don't know. That's a pretty dang small. How big is that? How big is that battery going to have to be, and what does it weigh? Batteries for the size to weight
again,
ratio,
it goes back to the
battery
cold,
is heavy.
Well, yes, I see what you're saying.
The
size, the battery, the weight, and stuff like that. But again, you and I know a lot of people don't understand being in the north, that cold. I don't know how much that cold would have an impact on a snowmobile. I think, relatively speaking, I think it might be beneficial for a snowmobile, maybe. But the problem is going to still be the problem is still going to be holding the charge, because, man, cold just sucks the life out of a battery. It really does.
In the wintertime, when we're feeding, we're using a tractor to move hay. We're using a pickup to deliver the hay and roll it out.
Yeah.
And I plug those things in, and I have a oil pan heater, not just a block heater, but I have an oil pan heater, so that when that engine turns, it's turning on
decently
lighter
warm.
oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's to me that's more important than your block heater. But whatever, it's still heating the engine. I also have battery chargers, small amp and a half trickle chargers attached to those batteries that are also plugged in, and you go out and you cross your fingers and you just pray to God that this thing's going to start in the morning on some of those mornings,
Yeah.
and sometimes they don't.
Like 40 below, going to school. Please turn on for 5 minutes. I just need to get to school. It's 10 miles down
Right,
the road.
right,
Just 5 minutes.
right, right. Yeah, just clicking
Can you
or
please
nothing.
turn? Can you please turn?
Yeah. So, I mean, the practicality of it for agriculture, I don't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because some of the stuff takes an incredible amount of power. I mean, a lot of horsepower,
Yeah.
and not just horsepower for a short duration, but horsepower for all day.
Yeah. Well, that goes to the next thing. We've just been talking small things, let's say a small tractor or something and pickups and stuff like that, but that goes I said it in the intro, trucking. So you think trucking's out of the question at least for a decade, because they have to figure out the small vehicles first before they
Right.
get to the trucking. So you're saying to me trucking's completely out of the question before they even, nothing there, because trucks, they go all day. Some of those guys traveled
Oh yeah,
almost
as,
18
as
hours a
long as the
day
law will allow,
or more.
or more. I mean, it just depends. Talk about crops. How are you going to get an electric engine to pull the plows and the seeders and the harrows? Spray rigs maybe, but still
Spray
a
rig, I can see.
hell of a lot of weight. That's a hell of a lot of weight still with a spray rig.
Yeah,
You
because
know
you got
how?
fluid. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So there. How are you going to build a road with does a what's your brother? He has talked about the impressiveness of like a D11 cat on a
Oh,
fire
when you
line.
see those things, yeah, I believe it. I've seen
And
it.
he says they're mowing down trees to cut a fire line. He said these big trees are just getting knocked down like toothpicks. These things are enormous,
Yeah.
and the power behind it. You're talking a couple of 1,000 horsepower or more, maybe
Yeah.
2,000. I don't even know. I'm just pulling that out of my you know back pocket, so to speak. But some of these things are horsepower that you can't even comprehend.
Yeah. No,
How are
I've
you going
I've
to do
seen it
that?
because we do the same thing when it comes to entrenchments for soldiers.
Okay.
So for defensive positions, an asset that's very limited for a soldier is a cat. So you have to request the cat to put in trenches, because those trenches will be put in, and they'll be like, hey, what's the analysis? And they'll be like, hey, blade time is gonna be X amount of hours for
Right.
this time. I get it. I completely get it.
So is
But
that why you guys would call in the Navy Seabees to build stuff for you? Because they
no,
can do it
no,
better?
no, no. Go Army.
I just had to do that. That was
No.
funny.
Go Army. We got our Corps of Engineers. Get out of here. Connie, if you're
Uh,
listening to this, go Army.
go Army. Hooah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway,
oh my
yeah.
God. Sorry, that was. I
But
just
no,
had to.
I get that, because the power that goes behind
Oh,
that,
absolutely.
and I've seen the small versions. What you're talking about are at least double what I've seen, and I completely believe it, because being able to cut that earth up and break it up and
Oh,
push over. I mean, he's probably talking trees like this big around. Yeah.
big trees.
I mean, they're trees that are like 50 years old that are just
He's
getting
no, no,
mowed
no.
over.
You're probably talking a couple 100-year-old trees on that
Okay.
side. A 50-year-old tree can be this big around. Well, depends on what part of the
But
country you're in. If you get a lot of rain in the
okay,
south,
so
trees grow fast.
let's talk about logging real quick. Oh, yeah, whatever.
So, not to speak of anything outside of agriculture, even though it's used in agriculture. I mean, there's a fair amount of aviation in agriculture for spraying. We're talking
Yeah.
about ground rigs. Um, I happen to know how to fly, and the name of the game in flying is weight. If you put you can put too much weight in an airplane, even the one that I fly, and you can't get it off the damn ground.
Yeah.
Because you don't have enough power. You don't have enough power for lift and to get it up. So How do you think a jet's going to stay in the air on an electric engine?
It won't.
How much battery would it take? I mean, those things produce jet engines produce so much thrust. You're not even talking horsepower, you're talking thrust.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
It's crazy. So it is cool though because you can watch so I've watched EF1. So there's Formula 1, which is combustible engines, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Then there's electric Formula 1, which is it's an electric car. So it's cool to watch because they're so fast. Now, are they as fast as the regular combustible engines? No. But
What's the speed difference?
I can't. I'm not going to say because I can't quite remember.
Okay.
But what I do remember,
you're talking the frames are going to be the same. I'll bet you they're going to be aluminum and fiberglass.
yeah, they look the same. The only thing is, electric versus
power
combustible.
plant.
Yeah, just how the engine's created. The other thing too is, not the speed because one is slower than the other. The way in which one acquires the speed is impressive. Electric can get the speed super fast. I mean, it's ridiculous fast. But over time, it's not nearly as fast as the combustible engine, which is interesting. It's also electric. It's quieter, but what's interesting when they do a pit stop, they don't pit to get tires. They pit to get a new vehicle.
A completely new vehicle?
Mm-hmm. The driver comes into the pit, they park, they jump out of their vehicle, jump in the next one, and they take off again. I'm not kidding you.
Does that not say it all or what? Right there.
I mean, it tells me a lot personally, but
that's funny. I mean, I had no idea they even had electric Formula One cars.
Yeah, you should YouTube EF1 or E Formula One, and you'll do like electric Formula One pit stop, and it'll be very interesting to see because they literally jump out. So on motorcycle, so I watch motorcycle stuff too. They will switch out chains in the rear tire. They don't have to switch out the front tire because it doesn't have enough friction. They'll switch out the rear tire. So they jump off, they let their guys refuel, switch the chain and the rear tire, and it takes them about 30 seconds, then they're back on, they're out. E Formula One, they jump out of the car, get in another vehicle, and then they take off.
So who was the French guy that Ricky Bobby was I could just see the race between the two of them. Remember how they went across the finish line?
Yeah. Give me a second. I'll be right back, but keep going.
I mean, this is kind of insane because all of the things that you kind of intuitively know, but you don't think about on the limitations of a electric vehicle or electric power solely is brought out on something that is so not needed for anything. I mean, Formula One is just, I mean, it's a sport, right? I mean, you don't do anything other than watch cars go on a track or a course, not a track, but a course. And so if the electric vehicle doesn't need consumable parts to continue to go like tires, fuel, but the entire car is a consumable part because it's electric, that basically says everything right there. Says it all. So now, now what you said a little bit ago about speed in which it can get up to speed is incredible with the electric. Think about locomotives. Think about when they're drilling for oil, you've got diesel powered over electric. Diesel is giving power through a generator to that electric drill or to the diesel electric motors on trains. And I don't know exactly how they work, but they pair them so that you've got this diesel engine creating electricity to drive. That is a sweet deal. If they haven't been using those for a while and you don't think they have, you're mistaken because that's been going on for decades. And it is very, very efficient. And very powerful and very consistent in its power, but there's no batteries involved. You've got a
Oh,
gas, or I shouldn't say gas, it's mainly diesel.
oh, you're flipping out on me. You're coming in and out. Um. Anyway, I do have. I'm looking up right now. Hold on a second. I'm trying to. I'm really trying to find. Uh. Are you there? You see me
Yep,
now?
I'm here.
Oh, okay,
Oh yeah.
perfect. Let me see here. I saw. I'm while you were helping me out a little bit. I was trying to find the Formula One pit stop.
Is that what you're doing? I wondered if
Yeah.
that's what.
So here we go. Here we
But
go.
did you get that? I mean, talk about a consumable items normally in racing. Now the whole damn car is a consumable item because it's spent, it's done.
Oh yeah, like I mean, I was watching. For those of you that don't know, I my past relationship, she was very much into Formula One, and so was her father. So I got into Formula One, which was fun. I really enjoy it. Um,
By the
so
way,
so
he
I
worked for the Toyota race team.
he did. He was very
He
cool.
solved a major problem for them.
He did.
Works for DL now, has the Mars rover,
Yeah.
Perseverance. I mean, guy's amazing. I love this guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's done some
neat
amazing
people.
things, and all, believe it or not, without a college degree, which I think is one of the coolest things in the world.
Not a college degree.
So I'll
Hard
share with
work
you this
and
though.
smarts.
I was watching Formula One today, and I'll
Oh,
share this.
shout out to Greg.
Yeah, shout out to Greg. Cheers to you, man. Anyway, I was watching Formula One, and again, like you said, the consumables are like mostly just the tires in Formula One. But the consumable, what you're talking about, is the vehicle itself. And I'll show you. This is the Formula E. This is an electric vehicle formula. I shut off the sound. If you heard the sound, you would see that it's very quiet. But look at this. He's having to switch out completely, get set back in, and they're trying to help him out, get all set.
Ricky Bibby.
I mean, look at how fast it's
What
taking.
was that guy's name in that show?
I don't remember. I don't care.
I mean, it's just it's a farce.
It was funny though. That I did love that show. But look, I mean, a normal pit stop, for those who don't understand, in Formula One, a good pit stop team, I mean, a good is about 2 seconds. Those guys pull the tires off and they're out. And yeah.
Oh, in a normal. Okay.
In normal, yeah. So that was the entire pit stop. But yeah, normal, it's they pull the tires off, they pull the tires back, or they put the tires back on. And actually I can try and look that up real quick too while we're doing this. But like the top teams right now are Mercedes and Red Bull, and both of them are actually typically sub 2, so they're floating around 1.9 seconds a pit stop. And to see that pit stop right there, oh, it's just,
well, and those are teams. I mean, so
they are teams, but I mean, again, it goes back to consumable items versus the entire consumable product, you know. Like there's a difference between, hey, I'm going to swap out 4 tires versus an entire vehicle. So I mean, if this will load for me, I can show it to you. But yeah, I mean, that pit stop, people would be like, probably the CEO would be freaking fired over that pit stop. But I mean, that's the problem with electric though. I think it's not going to last nearly as long as it could, and it should be able to last longer than what it does. Yeah, it's not going to let me. That's fine.
Well, and let's face it, this is not a big deal for them because we are a consumable society.
We
if
are.
something is done, we throw it away.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like, I mean, people, guys I know, guys I grew up with, guys I know and admire, they can make stuff continue to run because they have to.
Yeah.
You just do what you need to do. And I don't think I'm all like great at it. I mean, I do okay. There's guys that are like, wow, are you kidding me? That's awesome. You were able to do that, and you can learn some stuff from them. But there's, I mean, guys like that, that's what keeps things going. The agriculture are the ultimate in recyclable and renewable of everything. I mean, you use whatever's up. You don't just throw it away like, I need to keep that because. And your mother does this to me all the
Or
time.
just
She goes,
making it
"Okay,
work.
hoarder,
Yeah.
where do you want me to put this for you, you hoarder?" And
Yep.
like, 15 years goes by and go, ha ha, I told you this little thing would work. I need it sometime, and now is the time. So, so I mean, of course, we're also, 60, 75 miles away from town. So that also helps. But
Yeah.
every ranch farm has got a little bone pile of stuff squirreled away somewhere. And part of that is a necessity, but part of it is also most of us were now depression era grandparents instead of parents, and
Well,
that stuff carries on.
it's not even that. It's I think it's survival, and I think it's something that it's turned into because of not only the I want to say heritage. It's not quite the legacy, I guess, of the Great Depression. It
Right.
resulted in what we have today of you just make it work because the the thing is we are all we are all jack of all trades, master of none because of that. And I mean, you asked me and my brother, can you weld? Yep. Oh, I didn't know you could weld. Yeah, I like why wouldn't I be able to? Can you fabricate something? Yeah, depending on what it's at, I can fabricate it. It's those little things. Oh, can you train a horse? Yeah, I can train a horse. Can you doctor an animal that doesn't really want to be touched? Yeah. Like it's all these little tiny things that
Can
we
you
become
can you do some
masters of a lot.
electrical? Yeah, yeah. Can you do some electrical work? Yeah.
I
Can you do
hate
plumbing?
electricity. If I have to, yes, I will, but I'll do
Yeah,
it.
but the point is, you can do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we have to be able to do all of those things. I just got a bill. Oh,
Oh, from the
outdated.
electricians?
Oh God,
That's
outdated
awesome.
electrical panels had no main break, no main switch on the break on the
My
panels.
best friend and my other brother from another mother is,
Yeah,
is the one that
yeah.
helped out.
He was one of the guys that works for this company. It's like, you know what? It's better to have them, a company do
Yeah.
this because they're bonded and insured.
Yeah.
Let's just do it right. How much do you think that bill was to change out the house panel and the shop panel?
15. After putting in the pole and all that, 15 grand.
No, yeah, don't count. Just changing out the panels.
Oh,
Just the breaker panels alone.
those two?
Those two.
Oh,
That's it.
I mean, while we're on the topic of electricity, this works. I'm gonna say 1,200.
$2,300. Thank you very much.
Damn,
So,
Skokie Bear, you need to.
well, it's not him;
Hey,
it's his company. But you know
family,
what? Hey,
family discount, bro. Come on.
but 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 you know what? Every time, and this is where I was headed with this. Every time I flip a damn switch and I
Yeah.
got instant power with electrical, I'm a happy man.
Yeah.
You watch people panic when the power goes out.
Mm-hmm.
They panic. And it used to be common when I was a kid. We might be out of power for half a day, 24 hours, 36 hours. And you're like, oh, well, I hope the power comes on because you're thinking about refrigerated items, things in a
Yeah.
freezer, being able to feed and water a cow if you didn't have a creek by. And now it's like if people are out of electricity power for 2 hours, they're freaking out.
Well, I was gonna
So
say, the only thing I worry about when it comes to electricity now is water. That's really the thing I worry about. As long as I got water, I'm okay. But
yeah,
that's the first thing I think of is like, is this gonna last a while? No. Okay, well I'm fine. But if it is, I need to go to the store and I
you
need to
start
get a
thinking
case
about
of
some things.
water. You know.
Good luck. Okay, you got the option to go to a store. We don't have that option to feed cattle or water
Oh,
cattle. So here's my point to this. People freak out for a couple hour outage. Now eliminate fossil fuels and let's see where the heck your power is at.
yeah. No, that's a good point. That's
Right?
it's a very good point. And I mean, well, and I think this is a good point to end on. That's not only your daily happenings, but it's also how you get your food because 90 like I wouldn't say 90%. 75% of the things that you see in the store are trucked.
Uh uh
You,
Negative.
what?
Okay, you look around your house. If you look at every item that is in your house, and you say, did a truck bring that?
Yeah.
Every single item you have, unless you went out and you did it yourself, a truck brought it at some point.
Okay. I'll buy that.
Hundred
I'll
percent.
say just for the skeptics, let's say 95%. We'll say
Hundred
there's a
percent would be 95 is wrong, but 100%. But okay, let's say
we'll
for
say
that.
95%. All right. I see your validity though, because it completely makes sense. I mean, look at today. We're such a Amazon centric
Yeah,
like click. Even if you don't
everything
think
in a
that
everything in a
delivery
grocery
vehicle is
store.
not considered trucking, that is definitely trucking.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you take out
Everything
the
in a grocery store brought by truck.
yeah. No, it
All your
is.
fuel at a gas station brought by truck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you live in Boston and you're at a major port like Boston, Los Angeles, San Diego, they're still trucked from the port to the
From the
store.
ship to the yes,
Yeah.
exactly. A truck brought it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be an 18-wheeler. It's still a delivery truck.
Well, that's why I
A
say
truck brought it.
Amazon. I mean, Amazon's got
Yeah.
vans now. I've seen those things fly by, but those are still considered trucking. But
Yes, that's right.
but that
I bet you those people are part of the Teamsters Union if
maybe.
Amazon Amazon and their political, oh my god, that's so funny too, the hypocrisy of Amazon and not wanting to have union workers yet support union everything
Yeah.
except in our business. I mean it's funny, but um the 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 whole idea of electric everything is not just electric brought from lightning. Like I would love to see somehow store lightning. I think that would solve a lot of our global problems for energy.
Mm-hmm.
But storing it is an issue.
Yeah.
The state of Florida alone, I'll bet you could power our entire United States with the amount of lightning that goes on down there in that part of the country. So I keep bumping this dang thing. I'm outside enjoying a beer on the deck. Took half a day
Get
off.
darker.
Yeah, it did get darker. But the reality of it is electricity doesn't just come out of a socket.
No.
It's come through some wires and it's produced by largely fossil fuels. I mean, let's do everything we can to get some uh, alternative energy sources and be able to develop those things, but don't do it because it's a political move. Do it because it's a net gain, not playing the game where, oh yeah, we can't recycle this, so it's going to fill up in a special place. You know, let's be able to use something that's usable year round in all climates. I mean, let's be realistic about it and develop it from there. And then at that point, you know what? Maybe we can become less dependent on our fossil fuels. But this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Have been for a long, long time.
Well, with that, I think you and I both agree. Electric vehicles and
100%, not
agriculture.
95. 100%. But yeah, it doesn't work in agriculture. Not
Electrical
for that.
vehicles and agriculture probably not going to work out the best. So we'll just leave it at that. I would like to see the technology do well. I really would, to see it improve, make sure that it lasts longer than combustible engines, which in that case, then we would be making a gain. But I think as of right now, where there's no gain to it. Even though the article, it had a lot of good things to say about it, I agree. I think there are a lot of good things about it, about electrical vehicles. I just don't think specifically when it comes to agricultural use, farming, ranching, I just don't think it's quite there yet. Maybe in town, maybe, running around, as a common person who works, a 9-to-5 job, 40 hours a week. Yeah. Okay. But ag work, I gonna have to sell me on it. You're gonna really have to work hard to sell me on it.
And agriculture can be lumped into industrial.
Yeah.
Just a different way. Large. It's large equipment, high power needs. Aviation, the same thing. I mean, a lot of transportation stuff in some of your larger cities on your trains, subways. I don't know. I think they're probably largely electric.
I think they are already, because they're already connected to the electrical network.
Right. But there's still, where's that electricity coming from? I keep coming back to that. So
the origin.
Things have changed a lot since I was a kid, but they've remained a lot the same. you know, and I've only got, you know, you really realistically 20, 30 years to live, and I'll probably be dead. And I don't see that that's going to change a lot in my lifetime, even though our technology is changing faster and faster. I just don't see that happening in my lifetime. And
The
maybe
outcome.
I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
you see the technology changing, but the outcome hasn't changed nearly
Right.
like it should. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well,
Yeah. So with that, hey, hope this has spurred some thought for people. Whether you agree, disagree, what do you say? Like, comment, share,
like,
and
comment,
let us
subscribe, man.
subscribe. There you go. Okay. And let us know what you think. So with that, we thank you till you're better paid.